is Hades out here right now, even with the passing cloud cover. But do you guys want to see what I have in my shade garden now? I know you do. Hi, you guys. This is Nicole from My Carolina Garden. My garden is located in growing zone 8B, and we are in southeastern North Carolina. I have clearance plants. A lot of you said, oh, I have a shady area. I'm looking for plants to go in also. Tell me what you got. So here we go. I'm going to tell you what I got. I also have a plant that's very much in trouble. So let's talk about how to tackle that problem as well. Okay, let's talk about some goodies first and save the problem for after the fact. So I have this shepherd's hook here that was given to me for free. So let's do that first and plop that into the ground over here in the corner. So our number one plant find is a Boston fern. The fern was on sale for $5 at Lowe's, not because it had any sort of problem, but they were just getting rid of them. So all of them were $5 each. So the fern is one of the plants, I would say, something that I don't usually buy because I don't have any shade areas in my yard. Now I do. Here's another. Now this pothos, which you would maybe typically see mostly inside of a house, I also got on clearance and it was a $5 plant. Now I got two of these pothos plants at the same time a little while back. The other one is doing much more fabulously and it's actually been up on my front porch for a while. So this one, I'm going to at least temporarily hang that in the back. While the ferns like more shade, the pothos can handle some light. Usually indirect or morning light, which is perfect because as the sun rises, it gives this area some light and then it travels that way and gives us some shade. Okay, so those are probably my two least colorful items for this area. Let me show you some other things that are more colorful. Now, if you follow me on social media, and I hope that you do, then you have already seen these clearance plants that I'm about to reveal here. I got this begonia. So this is a Rieger or Rieger begonia, and it also is a part sun plant. Now here's the deal with this baby. I got it half off. It was normally a $25 plant, which is crazy to me, but I got it 50% off because the pot was split open, not because there was even any problem with the plant itself. So for $12.50, yeah, I'll take that. So I got this gorgeous begonia and this one. Now this begonia here literally only says begonia on the tag. So it's a similar style to the one that you see right there. And if you remember back in the springtime, I did a whole video dedicated to my love of begonias because I do think they're a very underrated plant. I typically steer clear of white or even like blush colored flowers in general, just because once they start turning brown, I feel like it's very, very noticeable. However, I think in a shady area, the white is fabulous because it brings brightness to that area. So we have some creeping Jenny in this planter, as well as the spike in the center, the cordyline spike in the center. And this arrangement is for part sun, and I also got it 50% off because I guess this one maybe looks like it's a little more ratty. I still think it's wonderful. Both plants are going to do great, so I have no worries about them whatsoever. So since we started talking about begonias, let's just keep going. I got both of these begonias. They also say the same thing, just simply begonia. Let me take the little clearance tag sticker off and see if it says anything else. White double begonia. The difference with this guy is look at the veining in the foliage. I love it. So again, light colored bloom isn't typical for me, but we are doing it for our shade garden. These were $3 each. These were finds at Walmart. I literally have been scouring every single garden center, especially clearance racks, all over the place. Because yes, sometimes the clearance racks are complete cemeteries, and sometimes you can actually get good things that you know are going to do just fine in your garden. that does it for the begonias. Let me show you the other things that I have for this area. I have Coleus, and more Coleus. So actually, I think a fun thing is going to be, I'm going to tally up the amount of money that I spent for this shade garden area, because it's not going to be a lot, and I have a lot of gorgeousness. So the Coleus that I have in here is a combination of some that I got on sale way early in the season when I had already decided to make the shade garden, and also from seeds that I started. So I have them basically sitting in these window box style planters, and I have a lot of different color varieties in this Coleus. So I have one window box planter here, one that's already been up on the wall inside an actual window box planter, another one over here. I've cut the tips off of some of these super tall Coleus to make them bush out more instead of being like all stalky. And I have those stalks or the cuttings all rooting in soil right now. They're in a different area right by my house, so they're super protected. Also though, besides this gorgeous Coleus, again, all the color that it offers, I have this planter here that has this gorgeous elephant ear in it, as well as some other Coleus that I had propagated from over the winter time. So with this window box planter, this was one, if you remember months ago, I said that someone basically gave this window box planter to my son, and there were a couple things that were like small and scraggly in there, and they just said, hey, would your mom like this? And I said, yes. Free plants are for me. I will take them and see what happens. And these gorgeous elephant ears, which I did not have this color or style before, with the darkness and the green veining in them. So I was like, yeah, I'll take those. I have since planted them in 2 other spots in the yard. And then this one just kind of stayed in the planter it came in, and it looks amazing. So this gorgeous foliage is in here. And then the Coleus that you can kind of see peeking around these huge leaves is, as I said, a Coleus that I simply took from my friend's Coleus in the fall time last year before it died back for the winter. And I asked her if I could just clip the stem and root it in water. Of course, she said yes, and it worked great. Coleus is super, super easy to root from cuttings. I love rooting things in water in a clear jar so you can see the rooting actually happen over the course of a few weeks. And rooting Coleus like that is super duper easy. But rooting it directly into soil is just as easy and kind of eliminates a step for you, because then you don't have to take it from the water and put it into soil, because it's not going to want to live in water forever. So at some point you'd have to transplant it. So I'm just saying, you want free plants or you want to increase the amount of plants that you have for a certain area, oh my gosh, Coleus is amazing in that way. But not for nothing, 2 other plants that are also super easy to root in that way are the begonias like this that you see right in here, as well as the ivy, which you see creeping out of this planter. So all of these things are super easy to propagate on your own. And if ever you find yourself with something like this already in a planter maybe, why don't you do yourself the favor of just snipping off the ends and try rooting it? What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work. It was just a cutting anyway. So this is the planter that I put together. Who knows when that even was. This was the first piece of beauty in my shade garden though, so I was very happy with it. And you can see it looks amazing. It's filled in beautifully. It looks fabulous. I cannot complain about it at all. So as it turns out, except for the begonias, I don't have any flowers in here to make or to give my shade garden its color. Instead, this has become a very foliage heavy area, and I'm not complaining in the least. Which brings me to yet another gorgeous foliage plant that I have here for this area. These caladiums are probably going to be the entrance plants to the shade garden because they can be sun or shade plants. So these are Heart to Heart Blushing Bride caladiums, and I picked them for their multicolored foliage. Green and pink, awesome, cream and pink, all the things. So the caladiums are going to start us off, and then we're going to begin backing into this area with a mixture of the begonias and the coleus. And then, like I said, the pothos and the fern are just kind of like little helpful decorative plants. They were not intentional. It was because they were there, they were on sale. It ended up being awesome. Same thing with these elephant ears. Like, this was not intentional. I didn't know these were going to come into my life, but the universe provides. When you're seeking things out, the universe provides. So I have so many gorgeous plants to work with. However, I am having trouble with something, and I want to show it to you now, because if you end up with the same problem, I want you to be able to fix it. Have you ever noticed some white stuff on your Coleus? If you haven't yet, go look at all your Coleus plants and check for it. The white stuff are mealybugs. And what happens is the mealybugs get on the stems of your Coleus as well as the undersides of your Coleus, and they can almost be unseen if you are not looking for it. The mealybugs are attacking your plant, essentially. They want to suck the nectar out of the plant. They're going to leave like a honeydew behind that is going to weaken your plant. And so, like this stem right here of one of my gorgeous Coleuses that I was always saying was so big and beautiful, it's so weak right now. I'm actually going to cut this off, and once it's fully cleaned, transplant it elsewhere. I did make a YouTube short for sure, and possibly, I think I also put it on Instagram, all of the information on how to deal with the mealybugs in your garden. So if you have that problem, I want it to be as helpful as possible, because I don't want anyone to lose any of their plants if we can help it. So let's check out what some of these things are looking like, and I'll show you exactly how I am tackling my problem. All right, so as you dig into your Coleus plants, you may notice something like this on the stems. And upon very close inspection, you may notice these things are like little tiny white bugs. But they're very easy to miss at first, because as I said, they're on the underside of your foliage and on the stems that could be easy to miss if you have a Coleus that looks like this. It's big and bushy. It's hard to see what's happening inside there. And I only happened to catch mine because I was sitting beside it and thought, oh no, what is that? So as I said, this in here is pretty severe, and it really got this stem as part of it. So how do we get rid of these disgusting bugs that are eating our plants? You can see it's right by my finger there. You can actually use 70% isopropyl alcohol, so a rubbing alcohol, but the 70%. And if you have an infestation that is less than mine, so a lesser amount of bugs, you can use a cotton swab or something and just apply the rubbing alcohol directly to them to kill them. Or in the case of me, I am using a spray to get mine, because this is a pretty bad infestation. The spray is 1 part rubbing alcohol, 1 part water, and then some drops of liquid soap like Dawn. Mix that together in a little spray bottle and spray your plant. You will probably have to do this more than once. I would repeat it like every 3 or 4 days until the problem is gone. Also, isolate your plant. Like this one right here is pulled away from this one behind me, even though it might not look like it in this shot, but I want to pull it away even more. It's only here so I can show it to you this way. I want to isolate it because, like, the problem can spread. These bugs can get onto your other plants, and we don't want that. So as I said, what I'm going to do with this wimpy branch here is clear off the mealybugs, and I'm actually going to try to root this plant elsewhere so I can still have it and perhaps add it back into this pot after the fact. So we got my foliage plants, we got my flowering plants, and things hanging behind me all over right now. Well, do you remember my head planter, my little cutie pie? The last time I had it in a garden tour was probably in the fall, I want to say. I have not done anything special with this planter for this whole year. This is a sweetie pie that I love, though, that just has some sedum in it right now. And I think I'm going to put this as one of my pieces of decor in this garden as soon as I start bringing in benches or tables and all that kind of thing. You see this right here? My actual window box planter. This has made me think of something. Hold on, follow me. While I don't have any cocoa liners currently in my possession, the window boxes, or the one that I have attached to the shed, is one of these that I have on here. I just wanted to see if that planter would fit in it, and it does. It's not a completely finished look like the cocoa liner would give you, very nice and neat at the bottom of a planter, but it fits, which means I can take 2 more of those actual window box planters, like the metal part, off of the fence, since I'm not using them anyway, and attach them to my fence for these guys. One, two. I keep going inside to hydrate, but I just want you guys to know it is so gross out here. The humidity makes such a difference with the heat index, and it's so thick. Well, I was going to hang the 2 window boxes up on the shed, but Mother Nature had other plans, and now it started to rain. So you might be able to see the dark clouds behind me. They're kind of all over right now. So we are going to get back to the hanging. But I do want to quickly go through the cost of the shade garden thus far, because I think it's pretty impressive. So firstly, my 2 caladiums at $11 each. Secondly, my 2 Terrascape Queen Coleuses that were the original flockers of this entrance here. $8 each for a total of $16. The black pots that I planted them in with you guys in a different video were free because they were given to me. The Rieger begonia, so that's that gorgeous pinky baby over here. He was the half off, so he was $12.50. Backing up to our different begonia, this shade combo was originally $40 and it was marked down half off to $20. The Coleus, of which you see some up here, some down here, some over here. Those, I bought 2 Coleus trays earlier in the year at $10 each. So the total is $20 because I bought 2 of those. A packet of Coleus seeds, $2. This pothos right here, $5. This fern, $5. The shepherd's hook was given to me for free, so $0. The window box planters I've had for years up on my fence, not being used, so those are $0. The elephant ears right here in this box that someone gave us, free. The cocoa liner inside this actual planter right here, $15. Down on the ground, we did 3 bags of mulch at $2 each, so that makes $6. And underneath the mulch, we had put 2 bags of the garden soil at $2 each, $4. And last but not least, the rubber stepping stones in the middle came from my daughter's old gymnastics bars area in the yard, so $0. Altogether, you guys, $127.50. So I'd like to call it $125 just for a round number because it's way closer to that than it is to the $150. How exciting is that? Now, I know it doesn't look like a lot right now, and I wish that the weather was cooperating with me more. But this is where we are right now. So we are going to be back, and little by little, we are going to make this garden a lot. I do hope that you guys got some shade garden inspiration from this video. And next time, like I said, as we put things together up on stands or benches or in beautiful pots or up on the shed wall, so many more beautiful things to come so we can get this area to be the prettiest little shade garden you ever did see. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, follow me on social media. And until next time, you guys, happy planting.